All right, welcome on in. I'm getting the go live messages up now, and we will get started on Socratic Sunday number 2 in just a moment. And the only trouble with Socratic Sunday is I can't tell you what we're doing today, or what we're talking about today. I can tell you that we're talking about various topics, but what topics will be started by me and continued hopefully by chat. So that will be our goal today. Discussion, essentially. I'm generally open to whatever topic. Feel free to drop something in the chat, be that current events, history, philosophy, anthropology, news, science, politics, hell, gaming. All right. Message up on Discord, message going up on Blue Sky. Let me see if I can't find. Okay. Marginally faster to copy and paste the old message and adjust it slightly than it is to type a whole new one. Posted. Incidentally, I kind of lost track of time, so I have a coffee brewing in the other room that I'll have to step out and get in a moment. But for now, I had considered several topics to begin with, but I kind of figured I would go ahead, look at the news, see what's there, and possibly, oh my god. I'm sorry. I'm forced to take Donald Trump seriously because he is in a position of power that in no way should he hold, but he does, and therefore has an unfortunate amount of control over the lives of far too many people. But God, is he a petty bitch. Trump's latest demand: Washington football and Cleveland baseball teams should change their names back. Because showing deference to other people's feelings is lame, apparently. And of course, Trump claimed that, quote, our great Indian people in massive numbers want this to happen. Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm shocked that he spoke for other people completely out of turn. Christ. Oh my fucking god. He called for a name change for the Cleveland Guardians, noting that the context of names has changed and that, quote, times are different now than they were 3 or 4 years ago. Fucking Christ. Jesus. I really, fucking Christ. Oh my god. Cuomo threatens to move to Florida if he loses. And New Yorkers everywhere went, fucking see ya. Christ. Sorry, my mother texted me. Nothing hugely important, just responding. That's fucking funny, actually. Jesse Waters backtracks, says, quote, sorry, after Newsom hits Fox with $787 million defamation suit. For those who don't know the context, the reason that he's suing for $787 million is because that's what Fox paid out last time for their lies about the Dominion voting machines. Visitor eats $6.2 million banana artwork at French Museum. Okay. Okay. I don't care. Jasmine Crockett, a Texas Democrat. Okay, I'm like, I don't know who Jasmine Crockett is. Got it. Calls Trump a, quote, wannabe Hitler over Epstein files. I gotta say, people get this shit wrong all the time. They called Trump Hitler, and it's just not the case. Trump is very clearly Mussolini. Hitler had an ethos. For Mussolini, it was all about his ego. Trump, same deal. To be clear, Hitler's ethos fucking evil, but he did at least have some things that he believed in. Mussolini, so obsessed with putting his face everywhere, that when he tried to sneak out of Italy as it was being liberated by the Allies, and disguised himself as a German soldier, people saw through it, because he looked like the guy that had been on posters and walls for fucking years. Didn't work out. Sorry. Drying trend forecast to return after rain. Cooler weather in parts of British Columbia. Japan sees bright future for ultra-thin flexible solar panels. Really bright future? I mean, look, I know you get paid to write the fucking headline, but come on. Let's see. AP News. Less selection, higher prices. How tariffs are shaping the holiday shopping season. 48% lean left coverage. Yeah, no shit. Hang on, I'm actually curious. I don't even see the fucking percentage. 9% of the coverage is coming from the right on that one. Shocking. I don't know why the fucking AP News is like 90% sports. Arizona governor tours wildfire destruction along Grand Canyon northern rim. Pro-Palestinian protest prompts scuffle on stage at the Royal Opera House in London. Forest fire haze from Indonesia detected in Malaysia. Jesus fucking Christ. Those are, if you're, not familiar with the local geography, not next to each other. Like on a global scale, kinda close, but pretty distant. Now, the ultra-thin flexible solar panels story from Japan is interesting because I remember reading about, like self-repairing solar panels, that NASA was working on for satellites, basically, and like the ISS. Let me see if I can find that story and drop it in the chat. Promising development in solar energy technology, where cells can repair themselves when damaged, potentially extending their lifespan, improving their reliability. I don't know if this was the original article I found, but this is the same topic. And yeah, it would have been about the same time that I read it. This was an article from 2023 that I'll go ahead and put in the chat there. But yeah, very interesting way forward, basically, for solar energy, because part of the problem right now is when you're dealing with solar radiation, which is what contains your energy that you're trying to harvest, it also punches holes in things, especially when your solar panels are outside of an atmosphere. Granted, they can absorb more energy because they don't have the atmosphere getting in the way, but they also aren't using that atmosphere as any form of defense against the solar radiation. So their ability to self-heal is a significant, relevant factor. Environment. Anything of interest there? Heavy rains in South Korea leaves 17 dead and 11 others missing. That sucks. Arctic birders combat impact of climate change and avian flu on delicate ecosystem. I'm trying to remember, is birders just the term that people use for bird watchers, or is that a different thing? Local fisherman Jan Vidar Hansen built a seagull hotel in Vardø to help kittiwakes. I'm assuming kittiwake could be kittivik. I've not actually heard of that particular bird before. So I'm seeing, yeah, okay, in Vardø, Norway. First year there were 55 nests, last year 74, this year 76. Okay, so they're seabird that is local, or indigenous, I suppose, to that area, that they're trying to keep the populations up to combat climate change destroying them, basically. Interesting. Sounds like a positive thing to do, so cool. Way to go, Norwegian birders. and also Jan specifically. Prince William, quote, annoys Princess Anne by not doing key royal duty. What? Why is this under environment? Crews work to contain petroleum spill in Washington after tanker truck accident. That is tough to do, because by the time you get there, it's already seeped into the groundwater. Sun bears to elephants. Life at Thai Wildlife Hospital. That sounds like a fascinating environment to work in, I gotta say. Give me just a moment. I think Yeah, okay, it's been 15 minutes on stream. My coffee should be good. I'll be back in like 30 seconds. Okay, coffee retrieved. I am returned. You may all stop panicking now. Alright. I have the coffee, now I just need to wait like 20 minutes for it to cool down enough for me to drink. Kind of a me problem, if I'm honest. I put it in a mug that's meant for travel and to keep things warm, and I just use it 'cause it's a big damn mug. Okay. Sorry, thought there was a hair in my coffee and I just needed to check the surface tension and make sure I was good. Crisis averted. Okay. Sorry, I was talking about Thai Wildlife Hospitals. Got it. Oregon wildfire is the largest in the country, grown to more than 95,000 acres. I gotta say, California is a beautiful state. Been there. I was a fan, generally. But I could never move to a place where fire was a season. I'm good. I really fucking hate the humidity where I live. I live in Virginia, and I know it gets worse south of here, but not significantly worse, to be honest. The heat actually gets worse. The humidity doesn't get significantly worse because we're a fucking swamp. But, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, the reason that Washington, D.C. is where it is because when the federal government requested land from Virginia and Maryland to build the nation's capital, they had a fucking swamp that adjoined both states, and that neither of them cared about because it was a fucking swamp. So the nation's capital got built in a swamp. And over time, Virginia decided that it wanted some of that land back, which is why DC is the shape that it is. It was originally like a diamond shape that was like equidistant and symmetrical, But Virginia clawed some of that land back, so no longer the case. Let me, sorry, I just realized I'm in the Discord call, which anyone is welcome to join, but it occurred to me that that might, show up, because I think right now it's set to come out of my laptop, and that might show up through the mic if, I do not plug some headphones in. There we are. Let me hop in and make sure that the settings are correct for voice and video, output device, headphones. Okay, so now that'll just be in my ear, and the input is still my microphone. Okay, excellent. Okay. Technical crisis solved. Resident arrested, 31-year-old missing, found dead in a house in Gimmigen? Bad Neueweile? Achweile? What's it, Germany, I assume? Could be Dutch, maybe? Bad Neueweile, nah, I'm pretty sure is in Germany. Oh, for fuck's sake. Well, the message that's popping up in front of me is in German, so I'm going to assume Germany. Okay. How about in the European Union? What's going on there? I'm keeping an eye on the chat, by the way. If anyone would like to take over on topics, I would be more than happy to discuss whatever you'd like to. That's sort of the idea of the Socratic Sunday stream, but until then, I'm just gonna keep yapping, but no one's hopped in the chat as yet, so for those who would like to listen to me like a podcast, you've got at least a bit longer. Let's see. ASX set to fall. I don't know what that is. Apparently it's Australian. What? I'm looking at EU. I get that we're all globalized and interconnected, but I'm not clear how that's the first thing in the EU. Greece arrests hundreds of illegal boat migrants after suspending asylum. Oh, good, there's... we're all doing dumb isolationist shit. Meta says it won't sign Europe AI agreement, calling it an overreach that will stunt growth. That's known as regulation, Mr. Zuckerberg. I know you're not used to it. Commerce Secretary on tariffs, possible EU trade war, and more. Do I want to read that? No, I don't want to read that. I need to keep up with what's going on, which is why I read the news, and part of why I started Socratic Sunday. I want to learn things, I want people to discuss things. But sometimes I look at the news and want to fucking die, so... fuck it, I get it now. Alright. I'm looking for something with very high factuality. NBC San Diego apparently has very high factuality, according to Ground News. August 1st is hard deadline for Trump's tariff, Commerce Secretary Lutnick says. Said countries can still negotiate with the U.S. after August 1st, but the deadline for countries to begin paying so-called reciprocal tariffs. Jesus fucking Christ. The bigger economies will either open themselves up or they'll pay a fair tariff to America. Okay. I know that some motherfucker in Trump's regime knows how tariffs work. Somebody does, right? They might not be willing to speak up about it, but somebody knows that that's fundamentally not what tariffs are. Tariffs are a thing that you force your citizens to pay, not a thing that foreign countries pay. The goal is to incentivize growth in those sectors in your country, not to apply tariffs across the board to foreign countries. That can be used as an economic tool to disincentivize certain foreign countries from doing things without putting boots on the ground. But fuck's sake, you don't do it to literally every country. Our economy has not been strong enough to do that since the 1950s because all the other economies were still trying to recover from the Second World War, and we hadn't been bombed to shit. And so American manufacturing took over, became a huge global enterprise, and we've been riding that high ever since, despite going downhill ever since. Well, the downhill really started in the late 70s, but by and large. Fucking Christ. Well, wait, this has never happened before? The Sun. And it took me a moment to mentally remove the Sun newspaper from that sentence and recognize that it was in fact Sol, our star, the Sun, became Europe's #1 energy source in June. Okay, here's what happened in my brain. I got this. It was that every word in the title of that, or in the headline there, was capitalized. And so I read sun as in a proper noun, the Sun, like the newspaper, rather than the Sun. Okay. At least when my brain breaks, I can usually figure out why. That helps. LGBTQ plus news. Commentary. Suicide hotline cuts deep in isolation among LGBT plus youth. No shit. The First Homosexuals is a defiant celebration of LGBTQ plus life. I don't know what that is. Hold on. History of Art, stated curator Jonathan D. Katz, quote, is both the world's largest archive of the history of sexuality and its least tapped, end quote. This may be a good place to... Exhibition, The First Homosexuals, The Birth of a New Identity, 1869 to 1939, at Wrightwood 659, which is in Chicago. So it's an art exhibition. Okay, cool. Neat, I suppose. Glasgow streets awash with color for Pride March. Out in the storm inside Climate News. LGBTQ plus Americans were organizing disaster protection for each other as political weather worsens. I gotta say... Okay, so it is about hurricane recovery, but using the phrase political weather followed by Climate. Okay. That is needlessly confusingly written. I'm not certain if that's AI or not, but I hope not. NHS nurse Sandy Peggy, quote, taking legal action, end quote, against union over trans row. I know that the English use the word row in a way that we simply don't in the US, in the sense that we just generally don't say it. Oh, I see. Sandy Peggy was suspended from her job in 2024 after complaining about sharing a changing room with transgender medic Dr. Beth Upton. Wait, sorry. Medic and doctor. I'm not clear. Huh. From what I'm reading, fucker. Actually, don't. Rare Mpox strain detected in Australia. Monkeypox. Great. Transgender woman sues Princeton for, quote, humiliating removal from track meet. Pride demonstration in Barcelona reclaims the role of culture in the speech of Trump and Orban. Fuck them. Given that Orban is the most openly fascistic of the EU's leaders at the moment, who probably illegally altered the results of the most recent election in that country. I won't say did, because the evidence was spotty insofar as I saw. Barack Obama says young boys need gay men in their lives and black men are on fire about it. I gotta say, on fire in what sense? This is the problem, okay, with these headlines. Slight tangent from the actual news that I was looking at here. So, oh good, the two articles reporting on it are one left, one right, both mixed factuality. Very helpful, thank you. In the sense that I don't know what on fire means in this context. Sorry, I didn't finish my thought. Gave his explosive take alongside a wife of 33 years, Michelle Obama, during an episode of IMO. I assume that's In My Opinion, with Michelle Obama and Craig Robinson. Here's the quote. That's one of the things that I think a lot of the time boys need, not just exposure to one dad. No matter how good the dad is, he can't be everything. That boy may need somebody to give the boy some perspective on the dad. Obama, 63, began. One of the most valuable things I've learned as a guy was I had a gay professor in college at the time when openly gay folks still were not allowed, who became one of my favorite professors and was a great guy and would call me out when I started saying stuff that was ignorant. He said, you need that to show empathy and kindness, and by the way, you need that person in your friend group so that if you have a boy who's gay or non-binary or what have you, they have somebody that can go, okay, I'm not alone in this. Okay, that's... Okay. 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 I got it. Alright. I'm really sorry. I'm actually with Obama on this one, but somebody who was calling him out about it absolutely nailed something that the Republican Party failed to notice way back in 2008. when they were insisting on saying Barack Hussein Obama all the time. This, I want to say, TikTok user referred to him as Barack Insane Obama, and that's, I mean, fucking well done. That's good wordplay, frankly. Like, regardless of your stance on the issue, like, well done. And at some level, like, he's not even calling for it to be a gay person necessarily. It's just like, he's essentially calling for diversity. Which is shocking, right? Guy from, you know, the city of Chicago thinks that people should know a lot of different kinds of people. Like, yeah. No shit. Transphobes are swivel-eyed, says Labour MP in leaked audio. Referred to critics of trans rights as, quote, swivel-eyed loons. Fucking love the British sometimes. Called the Supreme Court's judgment on trans rights, quote, very depressing, contradicting the official Labour position, which welcomed the ruling for bringing, quote, clarity to the issue. Good. Speak out against the party line. The people you ally yourself with should be people that you agree like 60% with. If you want 100% agreement, A, you're going to wind up with very few allies, and B, you're out of your fucking mind, because nobody agrees 100% on anything. There are 8 billion of us, and, like, nobody has all the same agreements, regardless of how many authoritarian governments try to do that shit throughout history. Or religions. Or theocratic authoritarian regimes. Offbeat, sometimes these are fun. Let's see. Anyone could forget a kid in a hot car, research shows. Yeah, I've seen a lot of the stories on that. There was a story back in the 90s, I want to say, that generated a lot of controversy. Let me see if I can find that. Fatal Distraction. Washington Post. Fucking A. Two. I think failed distraction is the thing I'm thinking of. Fatal distraction. Okay. Gene Weingarten, March 2009. Okay, here it is. Gene Weingarten, fantastic writer, if you're not familiar. Long-time Washington Post writer, and I will post Washington Post content so long as it's pre-Bezos. I'm comfortable referencing that. So that is the PDF, if anyone is interested in reading that. That basically, I won't read it out, because it's, I mean, still copyrighted, basically. As far as I know. But in essence, he talks a lot about looking into several cases, and how people make assumptions about the kind of people who leave children in cars. And in fact, the statistics show that literally anyone can do it. Like, it doesn't matter how good of a person or how put together you are. The inherent, like, aspect of having a child is being more tired because you have to put up with child bullshit all the time and you don't get as much sleep, and you add that to, you know, various working conditions in the US, and you tend to lose track of shit. So it's basically, it can happen to anyone is the long and short of it. And it's not an indicator of character, just that we are barely smarter apes that have a lot of shit going on. We did not evolve to be as busy as we are. For those who don't know, in hunter-gatherer societies, the approximate amount of work that is done by individuals per week is 15 hours. Hunter-gatherer societies had 15-hour work weeks. So, like, we're just not built for the modern world. We are mentally designed to deal with tribal bullshit, not global bullshit. Oh, there it is. Astronomer CEO Andy Byron steps down after viral Coldplay kiss cam catches him. Okay, embracing colleague, sure. With his arms around his head of HR is the more specific way to state that. British man's relay team received gold 28 years after US's disqualification. Okay. Barcelona to shut cruise ports to tackle over-tourism. How do the local tourist spots feel about that? Long Island man arrested on fraud and fortune-telling charges after $62,000 scam. Okay, the interesting phrase there to me is fortune-telling charges. Are there charges for fortune-telling? New York's little-known law against predatory fortune-telling is drawing fresh attention, aimed at protecting vulnerable consumers. Okay, so yes is the answer to my question. They do actually have a law about fortune-telling. Cool. I dig it. Activist comedians stock Trump Tower shop with Epstein postcards as Trump threatens Wall Street Journal lawsuit. That's funny. Keep doing it. Popular sugar substitute linked to brain cell damage and stroke risk. Please don't say Splenda. My mother used to drink a shitload of Splenda. Splenda. Fuck. Okay, that sucks a fat one. Alright, hold on. Okay. This is center and not something that requires a... Okay. Let me see. I'm sorry, I have to send this to my mother. She used to drink Splenda products all the time. And I can't do shit about it, but if she can go see a doctor about it and do anything, better that she knows. Fucking A. What was that? Under? Was offbeat or something? Oh, yes, I need to log in. Great. Do the thing. Julie, do the thing. Look, Legend of Korra was not as good as Avatar: The Last Airbender, but it was still good. Basically, despite Nickelodeon's interference. Whereabouts is my fucking... Alright, there. Sorry, I just want to send this to my brother before I forget. Okay. So I'm having to pop in and out to check chat, see if any topics of conversation have come up. Thus far, nothing, but for now, the podcast of me yapping just continues. Okay. Back to offbeat. Please have something funny. Chinese farmer's home-built submarine, quote, big black fish, completes successful river trials. Why? 60-year-old farmer in Anhui province launched his homemade submarine named Big Blackfish into a local river on July 2nd. His interest began in 2014 after seeing submarine construction on TV, prompting him to build a sub despite his wife's opposition and lack of formal training. He spent 5,000 yuan on materials to build the first prototype in secret, later upgrading to a 5-ton, 7-meter steel craft with ballast tanks and concrete ballast. Okay, it sounds like he knew what he was doing, at least. Like, he understood the fundamental aspects of submarine travel. The question is what depth it's rated for. Or would be rated for if this had been done, you know, quote-unquote correctly. I mean, that's it. I mean, good for that guy. It's important to have a hobby. My only question is, because, like, the picture in the article linked has a picture of the periscope, but what I want to see is if he included windows, or, like, portholes. I know, not windows, but portholes that you could see out the submarine. North Korea halts foreign tourism at beach resort weeks after opening. I'm shocked. Not that they halted the tourism, but that they started it at all. Frankly, that's fucking hilarious. You can't. Like, it's not a, like, A, how many people think North Korea tourism? But, like, B, what fucking... What, like, this is a regime that is all about controlling the flow of information to their subjects. What the fuck did they think they were going to get by bringing foreign people in who have had access to, like, unfettered information? Or unfettered access to information. Oh, man wearing metal chains sucked into an MRI machine. Oh. Oh. 4:34 p.m. Wednesday. Where's this? Jamaica? At Nassau Open MRI in Westbury. Westbury, Long Island? Long Island, okay. Nassau County, got it, okay. I was thinking the island. Is it an island or a port? Port in the islands, I think. A 61-year-old man drawn into the MRI machine, critically injured when his metallic necklace pulled him into the scanner. Man entered an MRI room without permission during an active scan. Fucking Christ. If you've never seen one, I firmly recommend that you just Google MRI machine wheelchair to see what it'll do if you accidentally leave one in the room when you turn it on. You will find probably multiple pictures, because I've seen more than one. It is a simple mistake to make, and a really, really high risk error. The police homicide squad is now investigating the incident. Okay, so... Okay, I read critically injured. Okay, he's hospitalized in critical condition. Okay, so I guess homicide's treating it as a, like, potential attempted homicide. And they just have to rule that out before declaring an accident. Fair enough. Also, fucking yikes, by the way. Oh, he fucking died. Ugh. Okay, yeah, no, okay, yeah, New York Daily News, states that he eventually died. Okay, they updated the article, sorry, I'm working on this, checking to see if anybody has commented. Nobody has commented, alright. Sorry, I used to have a 2 PC setup, or a 2 screen setup, rather, like a dual monitor setup, not a 2 PC setup. But I hooked the second monitor into the Xbox that I use to play games on this stream, and it's only got one HDMI port. So I currently can't split it so that I'm reading the news on that one and watching chat on the other one. So when you hear me say that I'm checking chat, that's just me reminding myself. Oh, fuck. Okay. I was wondering what the fuck happened. Okay. He was 61 years old, wearing a 20-pound weight training chain with a large lock around his neck when he walked into a room where his wife was undergoing a knee scan. Realizing she would need help getting up afterwards, she had called out for her husband and asked the technician to fetch him from the waiting room. Technician allowed McAllister into the room with his chain, noting that her husband worn the chain there before and that he and the tech had conversed about it. As McAllister approached, however, the machine switched him around, pulled him in, and he hit the MRI. I said, could you turn off the machine, call 911, do something, turn this damn thing off? Jesus. Yeah, of course they couldn't separate him from the machine. Said goodbye to me, his whole body went limp. Fucking A. Attached the machine for nearly an hour. It's interesting. It's an electromagnet. I would think turning it off would fix that, but maybe I'm wrong. Is this the episode where I learn about magnetism? Magnets, how the fuck do they work, etc.? Rushed to a local hospital in critical condition where he was pronounced dead at 2:36 p.m. on the following day. Okay. Oh, there's a fucking picture in here, or a link in this article. Uh, Magnets powerful enough to fling a wheelchair across the room. Cool. Glad the journalists made the point that I was making. Or had that point of reference, at least. Wow, that fucking sucks, by the way. I didn't... Sorry. I occasionally get, like, mentally pulled into what's going on, separating out facts without connecting emotionally to them. It's one of the reasons my bedside manner is occasionally somewhat lacking. Space. James Webb Telescope reveals, quote, sleeping beauty galaxies in the early universe, snoozing where they weren't supposed to exist. Huh. Fascinating. Most Americans favor U.S. returning to the moon and going to Mars. Yeah, I am in favor of that. Do that shit. Just don't let a businessman be the first there, plant a flag, call it a colony, write all the laws, you know. That's bad. I know I've mentioned, I'm reading The Expanse, I'm on book 7. And one of the, like, least probable ideas that I think The Expanse runs with is that the governments are somehow relevant and that it's not all corporate warfare. Because I think that happens at least before the governments come back in, right? Like there will be the transition from having security for corporations to having soldiers for corporations is not a huge one. And it's not like we haven't seen that before, where Chiquita Banana, at the time it was called United Fruit Company, hired death squads in various South American countries to enforce their rule. It's what the term Banana Republic refers to, where a corporation has more power than the government. And it's all about the money. South Korea wants to build a moon base by 2045. I want them to build it by now. I'll go to the moon. Fuck it, just get me out of U.S. borders right now. What kind of job could I have on the moon? Regolith collector. I got some. What if a trip to space changed your eyesight forever? NASA's discovered 7 out of 10 astronauts returning from the ISS have been unable to see clearly with vision problems that can last for years. This past week, scientists in Turkey studied 64 participants who received both doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. What? What? This is not... Okay. So there are 3 different articles. This is one of the only problems I have with ground news, is that the AI is occasionally iffy about determining whether multiple articles are referring to the same thing. Sorry, there is an article here about space travel and eyesight. Eyesight has changed, affecting approximately 70% of astronauts on long-duration missions. Has NASA scientists working to understand why weightlessness affects how we see. Yeah, it would almost have to be the 0G, not the increased radiation in space, because we've had humans interact with highly radioactive environments on Earth, and that would be the only other thing I could think that would cause it. Dr. Sarah Johnson noticed it first during her 6-month stay aboard the ISS, reported that text was crystal clear before launch became blurry. Astronauts frequently report difficulty reading, blurred distance vision, and other visual changes that can persist for years after returning to Earth. Condition is now known as Spaceflight Associated Neuroocular Syndrome, or SANS. God, the fucking Undertale people are going to be so happy. And when I say Undertale people, I mean people who are fans of Undertale. I know Toby Fox was a single developer. Become one of the most pressing health concerns for long-duration space missions. Unlike motion sickness or muscle weakness, which resolve quickly back on Earth, vision changes can be permanent. Yeah, I mean, the eyes are fairly fucking delicate. If they weren't, they wouldn't be able to fucking see. Culprit appears to be microgravity itself. Yeah, on Earth, gravity constantly pulls fluids downward through our bodies. In space, fluids redistribute, causing facial puffiness, increased pressure inside the skull. Elevated pressure can flatten the back of the eyeball and cause swelling of the optic nerve. That tracks. Major implications for Mars missions, which could last 2 to 3 years. I mean... I guess... Are they talking about on Mars? Because on Mars is like 40% of Earth gravity. I think it's 38% specifically, but... does that qualify as microgravity? Like, it's less gravity, but I don't know if microgravity is literally anything under 1G. And I would think that, like, the trick would be building ships with some kind of either drum or they actually showed something with this idea in The Martian, where the long haul ship was capable of creating centrifugal thrust by having part of the station spin, which I suspect was an excuse for them to not be filming in 0G the whole time. But it is actually a thing we can do. Like, Coriolis gravity is not enormously comfortable, I'm told, but it is gravity. While concerning, research benefits everyone on Earth too. Scientists are getting new insights into how pressure affects vision, potentially helping treat conditions like glaucoma and intracranial hypertension. Understanding how our bodies adapt to space remains critical. As we test the limits of our bodies more and more through long-duration spaceflight, alas, we uncover more and more challenges. Yeah, no shit. Are you telling me that an atmosphere that is 100% hostile to life has a few other complications? Okay. Research into solutions will continue at NASA and on board the ISS, so that hopefully when we finally do reach out on a human trip to Mars, we can at least see clearly what we've accomplished. That's solid ending. Very upbeat. But genuinely interesting subject matter. That's cool. I mean, not cool that they're having vision problems for years, but cool to know that that's a thing. Fascinating. Let me actually drop that article in the chat as well. And I will try to remember at the end of this to just copy paste basically all of the articles into the description of the YouTube video. Everything that I'm pasting in chat at the moment. I believe that was everything on space. Four biggest space mysteries the new Vera Rubin Observatory could solve. I don't know where that is. Vera Rubin Observatory. Sure, National Geographic is probably not awful as far as factuality. I mean, they got Lemmings wrong, but then that was mostly Disney's fault. Are aliens watching Earth? They probably did, or will. The statistical probability that they're doing it right now is not... I mean, it's 3.6 Rocha. Not great, not terrible. In its first year, Rubin Observatory will gather more space data than all other telescopes in history combined. So, like petabytes of information. Okay, they've got more concrete numbers. Every year, all telescopes on Earth and space combined discover around 20,000 new asteroids. In its first 10 hours of activity, a single new observatory discovered 2,114 asteroids. Or in other words, it did 10% of the entire astronomical community's annual job in less than half of a day. Vera Rubin Observatory, funded by the U.S. National Science Foundation and the U.S. Department of Energy's Office of Science, is pretty cool. Thanks. Appreciate you dumbing that down for me. In development since the 1990s, joint operation between the Stanford Linear Accelerator Center and NSF Noir Lab, nestled in the mountains of Chile. Thank you. That was the thing I wanted to know. Where the fuck did you put this thing? Far from any light pollution, it houses the Simoni Survey Telescope, which has 3 mirrors, 2 of which are actually combined together on a single substrate for a width of 8.4 meters. Cool. This is all to get the light of the cosmos to the camera, which has 3 lenses, the largest being 1.6 meters wide. That makes for the single largest digital camera ever built. It's interesting that you would build this in atmosphere. And I recognize they've been working on it since the 90s. So I get that, like, every project has end lag as far as, like, advancements that are made during the duration of that project. But putting it where you have atmospheric distortion seems to make less sense than, like, the Webb telescope, where you've got huge amounts of information that you can gather, but specifically out in space where you don't have to worry about that. Now, you got to worry about other things when building there. One, having any ability to do maintenance to it is a problem. But I find it interesting that, as far as I know, we're not trying to build something of that sort of scale that can go out in space. That said, pretty fucking cool. Actually, I'll post this too in the chat. There was, many years ago, I listened to the RT podcast, or Rooster Teeth podcast, and they had in all of their podcasts what they called the link dump, where someone on the podcast, usually Gus Sorolla, would collate all the stuff they talked about and drop links to it all, like just take notes and then drop links below the podcast so that you could check out what they were talking about in each case. How about technology? Is the cyberpunk future coming to me now? Sorry, how was this not in Offbeat? Review considers crackdown on, quote, Wild West, end quote, of online sperm donation. What? A rapid review of Australia's fertility sector will consider the regulation of sperm and egg donation across clinics, groups, and apps. There is an app for that. Fucking A. Aight. Tech education program targets recidivism rates in North Dakota prisons. I mean, I am all for rehabilitation. I hope that that's what that's doing instead of several other horrifying potential things. Get ready for these new emoji. I'm learning now that emoji is both singular and plural, which are coming out this fall. Hooray? Question mark. This tiny metal switches magnetism without magnets and could power the future of electronics. It can't be we've made a small discovery. It's always got to be we have potentially changed the future of everything, because academia is at its very core competition for funding, because we can't just fund science. We have to compete to have other people fund science, because actually doing science doesn't tend to return a huge amount of money, which is why it should be a service, not a business. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. There it is. There's the cyberpunk future. What is Baby Grok? Elon Musk announces kids-friendly AI app after controversy over sexualized AI avatar. Fuck. Don't let kids near that, please. I don't even like kids, and I don't want them going near that. For their sake. And also the rest of our sake. Like, those kids will grow up to be, like, adult human beings. And if they've spent too much time on the AI from a young age, I'm not sure that's going to be good. Christ. Okay. So that was my general review of various news that's gone on. I'd prefer not to dive straight into US politics, because that's kind of my default. Is there anything interesting going on? Nintendo can disable your Switch 2 for piracy in the US, but not in Europe, as confirmed by its EULA. Okay, I don't want to just sit here and read Reddit threads, but on the D&D subreddit, the post title is, "I'm afraid my table is sexist, like my literal table." I assume this is about roles, right? Yes, it is. Okay. That's not the table being sexist, it's the dice. It's the dice you gotta worry about. How high off the water is considered safe from a saltwater crocodile? Further than you think. That tail is really fucking good at propulsion. Yep. Yep. Was pretty much expecting what I just watched. Horrifying. Okay. Is there anything else relevant? I'm sorry. RFK Jr. brings back vaping in bizarre MAHA agenda. Make America what again? Hold on. I don't. I don't. Oh, is it Make America Healthy again? Is it what the fuck am I reading? Jesus. I don't. God, that guy's a fucking moron. His father would be horrified. Hey, how's it going? How's it going, Nusrat? We have been discussing news. Uh I have no real direction that I plan to take it at this point. So we are simply discussing. We have various potential topics, but for the moment, it's been basically just a podcast of me. Primarily because I have had no one else in chat. So, at the moment, I have covered several topics which you may or may not be able to scroll up in the chat and get. Talked about self-healing solar panels, talked about people leaving children in hot cars accidentally, talked about the new Vera Rubin observatory. So yeah, not a whole lot else going on at the moment. Let me see if there are any other articles I wanted to cover, but for the most part that seems to be where I'm at this evening. Nope. I'm looking at a bunch of really depressing shit about how my government's doing fascist things. again. So I think I'm gonna not cover all of that unless someone else is looking to cover something specific in the chat. 'Cause frankly, that shit gets depressing quick. Okay. Let me get it started on my coffee here. Not much people here today. Nah, it's been relatively slow. I never look at the view count because the idea is to, give the same sort of energy to everyone regardless of whether you have more or less. It's occurring to me over time that the Socratic Sunday thing is great alliteratively, but may actually work better on a different night, because it occurred to me that basically all the major streamers stream Sunday evening. So it might be better to do this during the week when I would be more likely to have people who are not watching, their favorite streamer and might be looking for something else. But at some level, there's always competition for viewership, regardless of when you do it. Ooh, yeah, okay. Coffee's good. I'm debating. I don't do face cam for gaming, but I might in the future for the Socratic streams. Just throw myself down there on the stage of the amphitheater. Mostly because it would amuse me. Oh, no worries. I know about what time it is where you live. It's pretty reasonable to not be super active at that time. Just downloaded repo. I have been considering that. It is on my to-buy list eventually. I have strongly considered getting a group together to play that. I'm just not 100% sure what my PC would do with it. I think it would be fine. But, actually, hold on. I've got my Steam wish list here. And yeah, you kind of can't be active doing something else while you're doing repo, simply because it's such a punishing game if you drop or bounce anything. I have one friend who already owns the game. What is the recommendation on... Oh yeah, I can easily run this game. I was just looking at the minimum hardware recommendations. Not a ton of stuff on sale on Steam right now, though the Xbox store has a whole lot that I am looking at. Particularly Conscript, which is like a top-down survival horror game based in the trenches in World War I, and like story-wise based in the trenches in World War I. The actual like survival horror element is very early Resident Evil inspired. So I am a fan. Oh, it's running well on yours? Nice. Yeah, let me see. What's the... I was looking at something else that I was considering buying, but Conscript's like half off right now. Though, before I get into another game, I would like to finish Stalker 2, because I've been playing that some off-stream. I just haven't progressed in any of the missions. I've just been gathering loot and gear, because I said I wanted to do the whole main mission on stream, but oh my god, it's such a long game. Which is cool. I dig open world games, and I find the design and atmosphere very compelling. But ye gods, is it a long game? Oh, you're saying the graphics are kind of shitty? Yeah, that's fair. Look, I like graphically pretty games, but I will take good game design over that. Just like I'm talking about Conscript. Super pixely. It's designed to be pixely. That's fine. It's purely a question of what it wants to be. I was also considering Fear 2, because I've heard the Fear games are really good, but I've played Trepang, which was apparently, like, very inspired by those. So, I'm also considering Frostpunk, because it's currently 90% off for the next 11 days, and I've heard good things about Frostpunk. Star Wars Dark Forces is 45% off, which, it's the Dark Forces remake by Night Dive, which I was a little disappointed to realize I wanted to get into streaming right after I finished the System Shock remake from Night Dive, which was really fucking good. I would actually have liked to play that on stream, but I didn't think about streaming until, like, shortly after I finished it. Oh, sorry. Grand Theft Auto 6, add to your wish list. Do we have a release date for that? No, we don't. Okay. I was pretty sure we hadn't seen a release date for that. I'm aware that many game companies are shitting their pants over when that's going to come out, because they're trying desperately not to compete with it. Which, fair. Yeah, GTA 6 is going to be fucking huge. I don't know if I'm going to buy it early on or play it eventually, but I have a strong suspicion that I will eventually get to the point that I decide to play it. But the thing for me is, like, as far as GTA goes, it's something that it's going to be really expensive. Yeah, no, I'm almost certainly not buying it day one. Like, it'll be on a sale eventually because I don't really care. And because I don't plan to play multiplayer, right? Like, it's not gonna be. That's not my thing for GTA multiplayer. Like, I did some just because my dad and my sister wanted to play, and we were doing co-op stuff, but by and large, I enjoyed GTA 5's story and then stopped playing it. I'm just glancing at the sales. Oh my god, they're still charging money for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League? Holy shit. That's bold of them. That's like charging money for Duke Nukem Forever. I might play some Cyberpunk on stream. Because I played the original game, but I haven't played any since Phantom Liberty came out. And I really did broadly enjoy the game. I'll probably play something else first. Something short, ideally. But, I definitely am interested in getting that, because I have Phantom Liberty already. I just haven't. You like what Repo is about? Yeah, it is. It is very funny. It is. The satire of Repo is very funny. Da, da, da. I'm just glancing through the ultimate game sale they've got going on at the moment, which is yeah. There's some stuff that's potentially interesting, but by and large, if it's not already on my wish list, I probably don't care about it. Risk of Rain 2 is supposed to actually be pretty fucking good. And it's on sale like 80% off, so yeah, I'd consider it anyway. I will say, let's see, I might eventually do the Mass Effect games. I really gotta set up a, thing where people can, vote on my next game out of a set of like 3 or 4 options. It's the kind of thing that if I had a sufficient following would go on a Patreon, but I don't, so probably it would be like a Discord thing. Though I would have to figure out how to make a poll on Discord. I know it's a thing that you can do. I don't actually know how to do it. My god, Call of Duty Black Ops 2 is 70% off and still $18. What the fuck? They had to have raised the price before putting it on sale, because you can't... That's absurd. Whatever. Oh my god, speaking of they're still charging money for this, the Gollum game they're charging $3 for at 90% off on sale. Fucking A. That is embarrassing for anyone involved. Oh, Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 1 and 2. Which I have both, I'm pretty sure. I've definitely played the second one. Which was fun. I enjoyed it. Didn't blow my mind or anything, but it was a good time. Even super older games are still charged with money. Yeah, it's... I get it, right? Because, like, you don't want to undervalue your product, but at another level, it's like the game's 20 years old or whatever. Just fucking chill. Sell it for $10 standard and then put it on sale occasionally. But shit, I mean, I guess it's worth what people are willing to pay for it, so fair enough. Yeah, Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2, I own the complete edition. It's the first one I think I don't own. Can you get the first one separately? Where am I? Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts. Currently $3. But also 3 stars as opposed to 3.7 for Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2. And that was what I read when I played Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2. Was basically, this is what the first one should have been. And I'm like, alright, then I'm probably gonna enjoy this. And if I really love it, I'll check the first one out. But 3.7 is a pretty reasonable, like 3.7 out of 5 is a pretty reasonable rating for it. That's what, 7.4 out of 10? Yeah, seems reasonable. Enjoyed it, didn't blow my mind. Would play another game by the same developers, but probably wouldn't replay it. God, I wish that Diablo 4 was supposed to be any good, because I'd actually like to check it out, but everything I've heard is not positive, and that doesn't make me want to spend money on it. Okay. Star Wars The Force Unleashed is on sale. I own it. It doesn't matter. God, that was a game back in the day. When did that come out? Fuck, 2010. Okay, I'm old. That originally came out on the Xbox 360, the PS3, and the Wii. And I owned a Wii at the time. Later that year, I got a 360 from a buddy of mine. But I played the Wii version, and it wasn't great. And then I saw someone playing either the Xbox or the PlayStation version, and it was better. Like, the level geometry and the missions were different. And I was like, oh, it's not the same game. And so when I got that Xbox, I actually tried replaying it on the 360, and I was like, oh, it's a good game, just not the Wii version. What all else is here? Oh, Green Hell's on sale. Been considering checking that out. I'll throw it on the wish list at least. It's on sale for another 11 days. Oh, I'll consider it. I think that one can be played co-op. Yes, no, maybe. Online co-op, 2 to 4. Cool. The Chant. I've literally never heard of this. Looks like crafting survival game, third-person horror action adventure game. God, that means nothing except that occasionally there are scary things. Action adventure game is a set of words that does not mean anything. Okay, honestly, looks kinda cool. It's rated 4.2. Decent first release from a studio. Okay. Shit, it's $5 right now. I might check that shit out. One of the things that I've learned is before I plan to play any games on stream, I should go ahead and check how long it takes to beat the game. Because, God, Stalker 2 wound up being longer. There's a horror game you want to see me play. What is that? Because I'll tell you, I've played through the Dead Space games. I've played through most of the Resident Evil games that I care about. No, I have not played Resident Evil Survivor. No, I do not plan to play Resident Evil Survivor. You forgot what it's called. That is limiting in terms of my ability to play it. If you give me slightly more information, I may be able to figure it out. What is Knights of the Old Republic selling for? I mean, yes, I'm aware I own it. Can I not buy for a friend? 65% off, whatever it is. Psychological horror game. Okay, is it Soma? That's the first one that comes to mind. About a mentally ill guy? Sure. Most of the psychological horror tropes involve someone who is mentally ill. Or not even necessarily someone who's mentally ill. Sometimes it's someone who is viewed as mentally ill because they can see the horrors beyond the veil. Which would make a guy seem mentally ill to people who can't. A lot of Lovecraftian shit is that way. First Berserker Kazan. That actually looked like a decent Souls-like, but it is currently too expensive. Let's see. He's in a city that doesn't have any people in it. Oh, Ghostwire Tokyo? Except monsters and ghosts. I think you're talking about Ghostwire Tokyo, but I'm not certain. No, it's not that? Okay. Is it the original Silent Hill? No, I guess there aren't any ghosts. There are plenty of monsters, but not really ghosts. Um, he's a patient. In some scenes, he's talking to a doctor. I was gonna say, I'm based on the things you've said. I'm gonna see if I can find it. Uh, hmm. Hmm. I'm seeing a lot of options here. It's really close to Silent Hill, and it's an FPS. Oh, is it Fear? Maybe? No, probably not. I mean, there are ghosts and monsters, but I don't remember being a patient in that. What I'm learning right now is that there are too many games, clearly. Obviously, this glut of art was a mistake. Um, Empty City Ghost Monsters. First person shooter. Cry of Fear, maybe? I've never heard of it, but it seems to fit what you're talking about. Cold Scandinavian night, finding his way through the city, slowly descends into madness. Strong emphasis on cinematic experience, immersion, and lateral thinking. Actually, I think I have heard of the game. I don't think I've played it, but pretty sure I have heard of that. Yeah, Wikipedia seems to think I'm talking about Cry of Fear. It is? Okay, cool. Noted. Cry of Fear. Let me write that down. Cry of Fear survival game. Let's see. Initial release February 22nd, 2012. It is, let's see, exclusive to Microsoft Windows, so Steam is where I would get it. Oh, it's free. I mean, yeah, fuck, I'll download it, sure. I have to change my PC setup a little bit, but yeah, I mean, shit, it's a free game. I'll certainly try it. Shit, I can probably download that right now. Here's hoping I don't slow down my stream. Don't drop any frames. Right, fair. There we are. 4.37 gigs. Yeah, I'll download it later. But I will leave it as the thing that is open on my Steam page so that I remember to download it after I upload the VOD. It's really uncomfortable to play. Really creepy monster, patient in a flying bed, tied to it and spits on you while he's flying in the air. That's impressive aim, if nothing else. I'm glad that Google could help us figure that out, because I was not getting there. Like, I've heard of Cry of Fear, but I would never have drawn that out of the banks of my memory. It's really uncomfortable to play in case I don't want any flashbacks. I'm probably fine. I don't tend to react to media that way, generally. Huh. Anything else? Also, Cry of Fear is a good call just because it looks like the game's like 8 hours long or something, so I can do that in like 2 streams, because I've been playing Stalker 2 too long. I don't mind being the Stalker guy, but I do in fact plan to have a variety gaming channel. So I definitely need stuff that does not take as long. Okay. KOTOR 2 also on sale. It's an indie game. Yeah, I was seeing European developer, independent. Oh, made by one guy. Okay. Okay, so Age of Empires 4 is on sale on the Xbox, but I would not even try to play that. The developer you think has a history of mental illness? I mean, a lot of people who make good art do. It's not required to make good art, but it doesn't always impair one from making good art, and often inspires good art. Oh, good. Squirrel with a Gun is on sale. I'm good. I'll pass on that one. Let's see. The Thrilling Stories Collection includes Alfred Hitchcock Vertigo, Beyond a Steel Sky, and Siberia, The World Before. I think I actually own Siberia on PC, on GOG, because it was one of the things available through Amazon Prime. Yeah, I for sure own this. It looks vaguely interesting. People rated it 4 out of 5. Yeah, fuck it. I'll play it at some point. It is one of many things in my backlog that seems to be ever expanding. Alan Wake 2 is on sale. $24 instead of $60. That's not too bad. I've heard good things. I would like to play Alan Wake 2. I don't actually care about the first one, but the second one I've heard very, very good things about. Anything else of interest here? Because I gotta say, there have been a few things, but... Oh, I forgot there was a Quiet Place video game. It's currently... What's that, 30% off? 35% off, yeah. I mean, that's really good fodder for survival horror, frankly. I still contend those are some of my favorite horror movies. Can physics 10 out of 10 be afraid of the cans? Okay, so when you knock into cans, you will absolutely... Well, fuck, okay. I am probably gonna have to play that. That's getting added to my wish list. I may or may not pick it up at 35% off, but we'll see. As established, I will need to check, see what the completion time is on it. Oh my god, Avatar The Last Airbender Quest for Balance? Christ. Speaking of, they should be embarrassed charging money for it. When did this fucking game come out? It was... Oh. This is not the one I'm thinking of. Had a clip of my latest stream. I did not see it, but I'd be happy to look. I don't spend a ton of time on my own Twitch page, which I maybe should spend a little more, but... By and large... Hold up. Why does it say I'm streaming Stalker 2? Hold up. And by and also... Why do I hear my own voice? Cut that shit out. Cut that shit out. Cut that shit out. Okay. Hold up. I fucking... Why? That could be why people are not here. Like... If I'm under the Stalker 2 category and clearly not doing Stalker 2... Fucking A. Okay. That's... I changed the title. I hit done. It should have fixed it. Okay, apparently not. Where was I? Okay. Let's see. Now that I am no longer ostensibly streaming Stalker 2, I apologize for lying to everyone for the past 2 hours. Jesus. Because see, in the corner of OBS, it said I was not streaming that. Let's see. Recent broadcasts, videos. Do we have clips specifically? I'm sure that I can find that. Home, recent broadcast, recently streamed categories. Can a guy find the clips? No, I'm having trouble finding it. To be sure, I apologize for claiming that I was streaming under Stalker 2, despite having been just chatting this whole time, because the point of this was to... Oh, it had 56 views. Oh, I think I may have seen that. Hold up. Yeah, that stream definitely got a number of views, probably from that post, so thank you for that. I am confident that there's a place I can look at clips. Where, though? What if it would just fucking show me? Clips. There is a place. Clips of my channel. There we are. Perfect nade. Alright. Hold on, let me pull this up so I can actually... Oh boy. Let's embarrass myself live on stream. Just real quick. Okay. Let me pull this up on... Oh, yep, thank you, you found it. Let me... desktop capture... and full screen it. And put that in. Oh. I seem to have found the party. Nice. Thank you for clipping that. I had made a note to put up something similar. I made a note of that timestamp so that... Oh, fuck me. Let's put this back on that. Okay. Yes, I had made a note to make a clip of that for my YouTube Clips channel. Yes, I did eventually find where I can find clips from my channel. You made the first one for my entire channel, so A, thank you for that. B, thanks for helping me find where the clips are hidden in the creator dashboard. Yeah, so I did see a couple of people were popping in. Feel no pressure at all to join either the chat or the Discord call that I'm in, but certainly also feel free to. Now that I'm in the correct category, I was wondering for a while why the chat was so dead, and that was my own fault, as it turns out. Or possibly OBS's fault, but I'm gonna go with my fault because it's possible I didn't click done after I changed my category to just chatting and my title to Socratic Sunday. So we'll assume that that's my fault. One reel on Instagram's not gonna cut it. You're not wrong. I need to make an... Hang on. While we're talking, I'm gonna pull up Instagram and TikTok, and when I'm done with this stream, I will make accounts on both and then upload some clips. Because you're absolutely right. One reel on Instagram is not going to cut it as far as getting people here. Twitch is great for viewership. It's not great for discoverability. That said, it is a great clip. Ooh. My coffee is dwindling. It's a terrible tragedy. Oh, the Tomb Raider Definitive Survivor Trilogy, which is the 3 new games, and all of the Definitive Edition content from all 3 games, for $12.50. If you've not played those games, absolutely do that. Because, like, broadly, I think the first 2 are better than the third one, but at $12.50, just get them all. Because why not? Anything else? Could play through Sniper Elite Resistance, because I haven't done that yet. Heard good things about Blueprints. Also heard that the fact that it's procedurally generated can make it kind of a pain in the ass to, like, if you need a certain configuration and the game's just not giving it to you. That is the trouble with inherent randomness. God, The Walking Dead Telltale bundle, which do I have that on Steam? I thought I had that on something. Walking Dead Telltale Definitive Series. Yes, I do have that on Steam. Cool. I was like, I definitely own that. I just couldn't remember where. I don't feel a need to own it twice. Probably I'm good on that. Don't be me who owned Skyrim 3 different ways. Skyrim and all of its DLC 3 different ways. And there is... I really need to put together a list of, like, things that I can potentially play on stream. Because I think Cry of Fear is a good call. But I'd like to get a list together just so I have some idea of what my upcoming stuff is going to be. Because the thing is, I don't play a lot of games when they come out. I make some exceptions for that, if it's like something that's coming out on Game Pass and I can play it day one, like, might as well. But I'm not generally someone who's got to play a game on day one. That said, whenever they announce Last of Us 3, I'm playing that shit day one. Like, I don't generally pre-order games. I will probably pre-order that. If I had had a lot more money on hand when Last of Us Part 2 came out, I would have gotten one of the, like, collector's edition boxes. And I never do that. Let's see. Oh, South of Midnight was one that I wanted to check out that's on Game Pass. So Cry of Fear after Stalker 2? Probably. Don't see why not. It looks like it's a relatively quick game to get through. I might also do some more, what's the game called? Ready or Not. I would like to do more of that, get a little more experience in it. Oh, God. Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Academy. Or no, that's Jedi Knight 3. Jedi Academy is Jedi Knight 3. Jedi Knight 2 was Jedi Outcast. Fucking love both of those games. Those might be games that I go back to. That's like original Xbox era. Let's see. Jedi Academy released... Oh, it says 2018 because that was when it was brought to the Xbox One, but I don't know what the original release date was. Which is going to take long. The remainder of Stalker 2, or I don't know what you're referring to. And my coffee's gone. Alright, time to switch to water like a healthy person. The remainder of Stalker 2. I don't think I have a ton longer to go in the game if I actually focus up on the main story. But yeah, it'll probably be at least a few more streams. I would like to remind you, Stalker 2 was your suggestion. And honestly, I appreciate it because, you know, it's been very fun. But when I was like, I wonder what I should play next, you were like, you should check out Stalker 2. And I did. Um, now I'm checking out Cry of Fear. So far, your taste has been excellent. Okay. I will say, when they call it the ultimate game sale, they're not lying. I don't know about how deep the sales go, but the number of things on sale is fucking stupid. I'm just trying to glance through, and apparently that's not a thing you can do. You gotta get sucked in. I could replay Call of War as Gunslinger, because that was a short game, and I remember it being very funny. Crime Boss Rocket City. I heard that came out. I've only ever seen one advertisement for it, and I'm like, holy shit. Bittersweet, still kind of neat. Stories 3 out of 10. Yeah, I kind of assumed. Okay. Yeah, I'm good on that one. Anything else of interest? Sorry, my mother texted me and I'm responding real quick. Okay. Stop looking for games, can't play them anyway because of schedule. Oh, are you talking about my Twitch schedule? Yeah, you're not wrong. I have been meaning to adjust that. Let me see what I can do on that front. Whereabouts is my schedule? I made the damn thing. I should be able to... Okay, there we go. Let's see. We can change Monday to... Oh, it's fucking great that there's not a variety gaming that I can put this under. I spelled it correctly, yeah? Yeah, I did. Okay. Oh, for fuck's sake. Apparently I needed to hit enter, not click away, because it emptied the category. Okay, cool. There isn't a category. So, gaming late at night? That's a category, apparently. Games and demos? I guess that would qualify. No, not Squid Game, the game. Definitely not Game of Thrones King's Road. Uh, I mean, fucking. Games and demos seems reasonable enough. Save changes. Oh, that's cool. What? Hold up. I. Okay, that's not an event. Yeah, okay. What the fuck? Okay. Do I get scared easily? Not as a rule, no. I'm usually the calm guy when everything's hectic. Made me a fairly good EMT. And actually a fairly good tech for live theater when things were going wrong. What if this just fucking worked and I didn't have to fight it? That would be cool. There's already a stream scheduled. What? Okay. Then what if this fucking worked instead? That's very cool, but what if... God damn it. See, I apologize. I'm now altering things on the back end while streaming, which was not my intention. But here we are. But yeah, sorry. In answer to your question, no, I don't get scared easily. And I know that that's not the answer that people want when they ask that question. I would be a terrible, like, jump scare reactor. You want to talk about design philosophy and thematic storytelling? I'm your guy. You want to watch a guy get, you know, like, leap across a room because a jump scare happened on a screen? Probably that ain't me. Okay. Schedule Monday. Okay. That, for some reason, did work when I went back to that. Save changes. Then go back, then to the schedule. Okay. For some reason, I can do it now. Hooray. Alright, so now I can talk about what upcoming games I want to play, because my 3 weekday streams are all gaming. But I will leave the just chatting Socratic Sunday stream. I ruin it by being too analytical? Yeah, sorry, that's my brain. I can't do shit about that one. Well, and the trick is actually not to think that you're ruining it by being too analytical. It's to bring a couple other people on that are similarly analytical, so that you can actually have interesting conversations about it. Because if you only have one person that's analytical in that sense, it really doesn't tend to work. Other people just get annoyed because they're trying to enjoy the thing while you break it down. Oh god, I wish I'd been streaming when I first played Prey, because I played through Prey like 4 times. Prey 2017, that is. And it was fucking great. Speaking of games that could be, like, hyper-analyzed. Do hate it that it's ruining it for. Sorry, I'm gonna need you to clarify that one. Like when there's a scary moment when I should be scared. Oh, eh. I mean, I can feel... Honestly, it's not jump scares that are the way to get to me. The way to get to me is to slowly build tension. Like, go watch the movie Alien from 1979. That's how you get to me. Um, or the sequence on day 2 of uh the second part of The Last of Us Part 2, in the hospital, where the tension just like slowly builds for 20 minutes. That's how you get to me. Jump scares I see, and I might maybe get startled, but they don't scare me. Like, a real scare requires effort, and a jump scare is the, like, cheapest form of that. Like, it's possible to startle a person, maybe even up their heart rate a little bit, but it'll never stick with them. Whereas, like, the slow creeping tension of, boo, fair. The slow creeping tension of something like Alien, the movie, or Alien Isolation, the game, or certain parts of The Last of Us Part 2, are the things that really, like, get into a person and, like, will sink in emotionally. Because there's no emotion to a jump scare. Like, you're startled, you're maybe annoyed that you're startled, but, like, it's not a thing that's gonna actually hold on to you as far as fear goes. It's why the Five Nights at Freddy's videos were, like, super popular with kids, right? Because people would get startled and visibly react to being startled, some of them genuinely, some of them, you know, hamming it up for views. Uh, and it was that big visible reaction that got people watching it, particularly kids. So that was the reason that got popular, but those games don't really invoke, like, the jump scare isn't the good part of that game. That's the release of tension. The reason that that game gets to you, or that series of games, I suppose, I have played 0 of them for the record, gets to people is that slow increase in tension because you know the jump scare is coming. That's the actual impressive part of the design of those games, is that the scary thing isn't the jump scare, it's the thing leading up to the jump scare. Because you know the jump scare is coming. And that anticipation is worse than the scare itself, generally. And the other worst part of that is that you do it to yourself, in that, like, you get the jump scare and then you click to do it again, and you're putting yourself in that situation. That's why a lot of things like Silent Hill's Fog. Think I'll find that in the Quiet Place game? Yeah, what I was seeing in the reviews was a bunch of people going, "This is the best Alien Isolation since Alien Isolation." Um, I had a thought, I lost it. That's fine. Speaking of Alien Isolation, it's Alien Isolation the Collection. Oh, is that the, like, definitive edition or whatever they're calling it? Because I was going to say I own Alien Isolation. I was trying to figure out why that wasn't showing up. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's fine. I have played but not beaten Alien Isolation. But, sorry. Oh, my point. My point was, a lot of people found the fog in Silent Hill to be that sort of terrifying and oppressive because it masked what you could see, and what your brain could conjure as the horror was worse than seeing the monster, because once you could see the monster, you could fight back against it. And it's one of the ways in which technical limitations shaped art, because the reason that fog is there because the render distance was so shitty, because everything else they were doing in that game was taking a ton of processing power that the original PlayStation, like, couldn't handle. And so they put the fog in to hide the shitty render distance, and the fog was extremely effective in building that fear and anticipation, and so it became a mainstay of the series. Cry of Fear is kind of based on that. Yeah, cool. But you kind of have that in any game that you can, any horror game that you can fight back, a la Resident Evil. Like, the fear of the thing coming is bad, but once it's on screen, you know how to fight back. And that was one of the ways in which I think the Amnesia games got it right, was that you just can't fight back. They were like, you're allowed to have a lantern, but you don't get any kind of weapon to fight back against these monsters. And so the fear then was, once you can see the monster, the correct response is to run away and hide. I'm crediting Amnesia. Probably the first game to do that right would have been the first Outlast, but then they fucked up Outlast 2 so bad that nobody cares anymore. So Amnesia, I'm gonna give credit to as the game series that kept doing that right. But yeah, like, for instance, Call of Duty Zombies is theoretically a horrifying scenario in that you have this endless horde of shambling zombies coming at you, but it's not scary because you know immediately what to do, and you got nice, crisp, clear graphics. So horror isn't the point. But in order to evoke horror, sometimes what games do now is to, you know, and Alien Isolation did this really well, the sound design of what it sounded like to have a ton of incoming, or to have, like, the alien moving around in other rooms. And then the just simple, like, noises of something that was kind of off. And then your brain builds that fear, even if the actual correct response is... And that's actually... I'll bring it back to Alien Isolation. That's where Alien Isolation actually nailed the midpoint between those two things. Because there is combat in the game, but only against the humans and the androids on the station. Whereas it takes the Amnesia approach in that you have tools that you can use to scare the monster off, but if you get in a direct confrontation with the monster, you just die. Like, your weapons can't actually kill it. So Alien Isolation rode that line really well, and I'm hoping the Quiet Place game does something similar. But see, this is what I'm talking about being over-analytical. When you're like, you should just be scared by the thing. I'm like, no, I have to break down why people are scared by the thing. And it's not that scaring me doesn't work, it's just that jump scares don't get me, generally. Like, even if I'm briefly startled, I'm not, like, jumping up in my chair or anything. seen some clips of how the alien kills you. Yeah, it's pretty gnarly. Several of them are based on kills in the movies. Unfortunately, I think at least one of them is based off of a kill from Alien 3, which we try to forget happened. If you've never seen Alien 3, don't bother. Let's take this awesome series about being terrified of this alien in space and set it in a bunch of concrete hallways. Surely our innovative physical design wasn't part of the reason the first two movies were interesting. That's the thing, right? Alien 3 doesn't even make me angry, it just makes me sad. That they had something going that good and then fucked it up. Haven't seen the Alien movies. Okay, if you get a chance, watch Alien from 1979 and Aliens from the 1980s. That's the first two movies. You're a psychological horror fan, then you'll like Alien. Because the actual horror in Alien is mostly psychological. It's all about that sort of anticipation of fear and seeing what can happen. And building that anticipation in a way that, like, you know what's going to happen, but the longer it takes for it to happen, the more that anticipation builds, and it's really, really well done filmmaking. No ghosts. Oh, you mean you prefer things like Ghosts. I see. Let's see. Do I have anything to recommend in that vein? See, I broadly dislike ghosts for horror. Oh, Hereditary? Hereditary is a fucking phenomenal movie. Have you seen Midsommar? Which was the movie that Ari Aster, the director of Hereditary, did before that. Because both of those are phenomenal movies. Yeah, definitely recommend giving Alien a try. And then Aliens is an action movie, not a horror movie, but it's a really interesting take on what was done with Alien. Because they're both horror, but they are... So, Alien... And I'm just going to put two messages in. So, Alien is the first movie, and then... Aliens is the second movie. And then... Oh, are you saying Midsommar? Hold on. That was Ari Aster's previous title. I know he put a movie out this year that I have not seen. But yeah, Hereditary. Hereditary was amazing because it was about 5 different horror movies all inside one horror movie. It switched genres several times. Because, yeah, I would say Hereditary contained the sort of... There's a new Ari Aster film? Or a new Hereditary? Okay, there's no official Hereditary sequel in development. Oh, Bring Her Back, just a new movie. I feel like I've heard of that. Bring Her Back, 2025 film. I have heard very good things about that. I have not actually watched it. Uh, and I think it's still in theaters, so I can't, or rather, I'm not going to watch it at the moment. Maybe in theaters. It's released May 30th, so I would think it would be getting towards the end of a theatrical run. Oh, Stephen Phillips is in that. Cool. Uh, and Sally Hawkins. Okay, cool. Yes, I've heard good things about Bring Her Back. Really uncomfortable to watch. Little boy does some stuff with his teeth. Well, you know, that's. I can watch illegally. Sure, I could. But counterpoint, I'm subscribed to too many streaming services, and it will eventually be on one of those. This is the problem for a guy who does not tend to go out to the movie theater much these days. I tend to just be. It's out there just now. I mean, I'm sure. Pretty much every movie is once it hits theaters. But here's the thing, I'm not in a hurry. As established, I have a very long backlog of games, movies, and books to read. So it is not as though I'm hurting for things to do in the meantime. Phobia St. Fina Hotel? I feel like I've heard of this. Speaking of horror games. Yeah, 4.2. Cool. Fuck it, I'll add that to my wish list, maybe pick it up. It's currently $6 out of a usual 30, so why not? Always better to watch it in my room in the dark. Well, I do watch pretty much everything in the dark. I have a game room that I play games in the dark. I watch movies with my blackout curtains up. I do pretty much everything in the dark in that room because I don't really need the light. I generally have enough light coming off the screen to do pretty much whatever I need to. Once upon a time, there were LED lights in that room that gave like a nice soft glow, but they started fritzing out, so I turned them off, and now don't bother. You start to hallucinate and hear stuff. Well, you have mentioned schizophrenia before. So that's not enormously shocking. You start to hallucinate and hear stuff, which improves the experience. Okay, fair enough. I would probably need a what's the sensory isolation tank? Sensory, yeah, something like that. It's a sensory something tank where you basically float in salt water and close your eyes and can't see anything or hear anything. And apparently, if you have that done long enough, you start to hallucinate both visuals and sounds. Yeah, it's like a pool. Let me see if I can find it and drop it in the chat here. Sensory isolation tank. Okay, no, I was right. Sensory deprivation tank. That's what I was thinking it was called. Yeah, I've heard stories of people doing those, but I've never felt the need to go through the experience myself. I also wonder how it would work for me personally as someone who is in chronic pain. Because, in theory, you go into a sensory deprivation tank and basically every sensation is muted, like eyes, ears, and touch. I mean, taste, obviously, but um, I wonder if the constant pain would affect that experience or if it would become the focus. Which, frankly, I don't need to focus more on that. I'm good, thanks. How would salt water do that? It's not the salt water. The salt water is for buoyancy. The idea is that you float in the tank better than you float in like fresh water. Because humans are all naturally buoyant at some level, but the higher salinity you have in the water, the more you'll float. This can be seen in nature, in the Dead Sea or the Great Salt Lake, that are much higher saline content, which causes anybody who goes into them to float, and to anything that lives in them to die, generally. But the floating part is so that you're not in contact with any part of the pod, and then the light is cut, and so you can't see, and you can't touch. You don't touch the sides of the pod, and you can't really hear anything because your ears are in the water. I assume they don't do anything to cut off your sense of smell, but I don't know that for certain. Huh. This list of games that's on sale really does just keep going. Yeah, I'm not looking through all of the, like, D tier stuff they've got in here. I have found a couple of things that I was interested in going through the list, though, so. How was work today? I didn't work today. I worked yesterday, and it was hot as fuck. We had a tournament yesterday, and our usual person who sits outside and gets people registered for the tournaments was not there for the first time in like 2 years worth of tournaments. And so I covered that for 4 hours, and between the heat and humidity, it was not a great time. That said, halfway through the day, I was able to go in, and the air conditioning was very nice. Yeah, no, the weather where I'm at is fucking awful, and has been for like a month. It really is, just unpleasant to be outdoors right now. It's the kind of summer that reminds you to hydrate whether you want to or not. It would be really nice if it could literally chill the fuck out, but I've always been a fan of winter. A lot of people are like, sunny and 75 is a good day, and I'm like, nah, that's about 10 degrees too hot. Personally, I prefer it to be between like 40 and 60. Sorry, where you are, sorry. Oh god, it was 51 Celsius? Jesus. Sorry, I need to convert my units to yours, to tell you what it is where I am. So, like, every day... Let's see, Fahrenheit to Celsius converter. That's not correct. Oh, no, it's about correct. Okay, so it's been, where I'm at, it's been like 32.5 degrees Celsius plus 90% humidity. And yeah, 51C would be about 120 Fahrenheit. Yeah, 124 degrees for 51 Celsius. But you're also in a very arid environment. And I was talking to someone who's from a very similar environment in the United States, from Arizona. And they said they would absolutely take 120 degrees in Arizona over like 80 degrees where I live, just because the humidity makes it so much fucking worse. That was my realization when I went to California a number of years ago. Is I saw on the car's thermometer that it was 100 degrees outside, and I was like, oh shit, it's gonna be fucking hot when we have to get out of the car. And I got out and it felt like it was 70 degrees. And I realized that it was purely because I was in a relatively arid environment and there was no humidity attached to that 100 degrees. Because 100 degrees where I am is so fucking bad. People start dying very quickly. But yeah, 51 Celsius is no joke regardless of who you are and where you are. That's one of those where you're like, you gotta be hydrating constantly. Oh, there they are. The bots. Account created today? Nope, yesterday. Banned. Wait, so does humidity make it better? No, 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 no. It makes it so much worse. Let me send you a thing on wet bulb temperature, because humidity's so fucking bad. Let me see if I can find okay. Yes. Let me drop this link in the chat. On basically how humidity affects temperature, and it sucks. It leads to heat exhaustion at much lower temperatures than... Because the thing, right, is that humans cool ourselves via evaporative cooling. So we sweat, and then that sweat evaporating means that the sweat is wicked away, and we lose heat in that process. When the humidity's higher... So, okay, we need to discuss Brownian motion, I suppose. In a very dry environment, that sweat will evaporate very quickly, because the relative humidity means that there's relatively little water vapor in the air at the time. But the higher that humidity, the less effective... let me see. I'm sure somebody's written a fucking term paper on this. Humidity and evaporative cooling. I'm sure we'll turn up something. Let's see. So this gives some idea of what I'm talking about, but effectively, evaporative cooling is what sweating is. We sweat to get heat out of our bodies, but the more humidity is in the air, the less able that sweat is to evaporate because there is a set amount of water vapor already in the air, and because of how equilibrium works, it is extremely difficult to get that same evaporative cooling effect on a day with high humidity than it is in a desert environment. Just because in a desert environment there is basically no humidity in the air, or very little. And so the cooling takes place almost immediately. As soon as the sweat hits your skin, the heat will just take it away. But in an environment that's already got too much water in the air, it doesn't work as well. Sorry, mother texted me. She's that's a whole thing. Don't worry about it. Yeah, in effect, it could be 120 where you are and 85 where I am, but it could feel just as bad because, uh, like, evaporative cooling would work in your environment, but not mine. So temperature is not, or actually, sorry, that's my bad. Could be 32 in my environment, 51 in yours. And because of the limitations of humidity on evaporative cooling, like, we could both hit heat stroke at about the same time if we weren't sufficiently hydrated. Now, interestingly, the U.S. Army found that in extremely high heat environments, if you drink enough water, it's basically impossible to go into heat exhaustion, but you will absolutely hate every second of it because you have to drink something like 11 liters of water a day to get to that level, which is just not comfortable. Let me drop something about wet bulb temperature in there while I'm at it. Because this is interesting too, and is relevant to a degree, assuming that you have 100% relative humidity. You basically wrap a wet rag or towel around the thermometer, and so the idea is that it's the lowest temperature you can reach with evaporative cooling. And there is a certain point at which it gets hot enough that it doesn't fucking matter. I think that point is something like 145 degrees Fahrenheit, which is... hold on. 62 degrees Celsius is the point at which I think evaporative cooling just basically stops working. But I would have to double check that number, honestly. Uh, duh, 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 duh. I was wondering if the Wikipedia article had the answer to that, and I don't see it. And we're getting to formulas that I don't understand, so I'm going to skip that. This is what we were talking about on yesterday's stream, or Friday's stream rather, where like I understand the basic science. I just once you get into the math of it, I tend to lose that sort of granularity. Too many things to read? Yeah, fair. This is the problem with having a conversation with me, is that I tend to cite my sources, and my sources tend to be like multi-page papers. Okay. Yeah, you noticed that people tend to pretty quickly. What? Okay. Uh, I am at this point probably going to wrap up stream relatively soon. Um, how's your repo game going? How many days have you made? Or levels or whatever it's called. I don't like. How many arenas have you gotten all the money back from? I will say I was interested in playing Repo, but there were definitely some mods that I saw that I would want to have installed. Just like having the button next to the extraction so that it doesn't go before you're ready for it. Think you made it through 2 levels? Okay. Oh, just started a single player mission? Cool. I've seen a lot of people do like big party gameplay of that, like co-op. And it's very funny, it's amusing. I enjoy it. But I saw some high level solo gameplay from a streamer that I don't watch all that often, but used to be a member of Achievement Hunter back in the day and broke off to do his own thing. And some of the gameplay I saw out of him was on mission like 12, and he was so fucking overpowered at that point. Only launched it to know what it's all about. Yeah, that's legit. Hope you enjoy it. I am at this point probably going to call it for the evening. So enjoy your game, sleep well. Thank you to anybody who stopped by, particularly those who stopped by after I actually got the title and category correct. Appreciate that. Totally understand why you might not have stopped by earlier. And thank you to anybody watching the VOD in the future. Appreciate everybody. Have a good day, night, evening, wherever you are. Stay safe, and goodbye.